Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today, and yesterday we talked through pretty much all the rumours that were going around over this roster change period. I think the shortest one of the year, only 4 days, the other ones I'm pretty sure were longer, and this is the biggest one, because of course Anaheim is just gone, now Miami is just around the corner a month away, and then Champs just a month after that. So the teams that have locked, well all the teams have locked, the roster change period, or ended I think last night. Not all the teams have announced. I'll go through today which teams have announced. Give kind of way up to some degree, winners and losers already. But, you know, over the coming days, I will go through a lot of these teams in more detail because I think it deserves it. Because, you know, these teams could be world champions at the end of the year. So they definitely deserve an in-depth look at how their team should perform and maybe whether they'll prove us right or wrong, depending on what you guys say in the comments in the coming days. So I'll definitely, for the bigger teams, and the ones that have made the bigger changes, you know, the LGs, the Splyces, the Envies, the EGs, maybe, you know, at least 4 or 5 teams I'll go through and do a separate video on, looking at it in more detail. And yeah, so today we're going to go through all the changes. These are not the rosters, these are the rosters at Anaheim. A lot of them have changed. Most of them have announced. We'll go through, of those who haven't announced, we'll go through the changes that it seems very likely they will be making. And towards the end of the video, looking more at the players that have kind of missed out and where they will be going, because of course we have the open bracket at Miami to consider, and from there players can qualify for the Call of Duty World Championship. So let's get right into it here, just to have a quick look, or just to explain real quick how the rest of the seasons are going to go. On Monday, the Pro League starts up again, 2 weeks of cross division. After that ends, we've got a week off, then Miami, which is effectively a full open event. It's playoffs basically, so the top 8 teams from the league will qualify, but then also of the bottom 8 teams, they play a play-in bracket just before Miami starts, of which the top 2 teams also get into playoffs. There will be a 10-team playoff. Anyone currently still in the Pro League, even if you're bottom, can still qualify. And then after that, and then in the open side, anyone who comes in the top 16 of the open bracket will then qualify for Champs a month later, along with the 16 Pro League teams, just to clear that up. So let's hop into it. Here we have it then, all kicked off about 8 PM last night. I was on Spitfire last night while all this was going down, so we talked through it at the time. If you want to check that out, I'll leave it linked down below. So first of all, this is what Envy said, really kicking things off. Huke to Splyce, as I talked about yesterday, was highly rumoured, does indeed happen on loan. So this team of, well, Huke, Jerd, Loony, Aqua, and Temp, of course, is going to be formed. We'll talk about that in more detail in the coming days, but in my opinion, it's pretty damn filthy. Then we have Gunless going to Team Envy on loan. Now, this was interesting, of course, because we weren't really sure to what degree Gunless was going to be able to get off the bench at LG, and this loan situation seems to be becoming more and more common as a way that LG can keep hold of him, but still allow Gunless to actually, you know, play. It would be a real shame for the community if Gunless was stuck on the bench for the rest of the season, kind of like Karma, you know, sat out the latter half of last season. So the rest of the changes, we have minus Pharaoh, plus Assault. So Assault's coming back into this team, wasn't on it, well, he was on it not long ago, let's put it that way. So 3 out of the 4 of the World Championship players from last year are on this team, disregarding, of course, Apathy, who is now on Evil Geniuses, but this is Team Envy's roster. Aches, Silly, Decimate, Assault, and Gunless is the squad. So, you know, on the surface, this team basically has no SMGs apart from Decimate, but obviously I do want to talk about this roster in more details. Tomorrow, I think we'll just crack on through the rosters to make it clear for you guys, but I don't think that team is, I don't have too much faith in them right now, let's put it that way. So anyway, Splyce bring in Huke. Now this, I think, arguably these guys won Rostermania. The fact that they've got Huke basically for free on a loan deal off Envy. I think the Hastro probably was like, you know, Huke didn't even win a map at you know, Envy at Anaheim. I want to see him at least have some success. So let him go to Splyce for a couple of events, just see how it goes. I think that's a respectable decision from them. But yes, Splyce have snapped him up for at least the next couple of events, and this is their time to shine. When you've got Huke on the team, if you can make this work, Loony has a real habit of making players really, really good and make them work on the team. So my opinion is of this team is very, very high right now, and They've got 2 SMGs. Their team is going to be crazy fast. All their players are really, really fast. So I have a lot of faith in this team right now. We'll talk about that, as I say, more in coming days. Here we go then. Reciprocity make a change as well. The change that was rumoured since Sunday night that I first heard about it. Shawnee out the team. Alex in the team. Seems to make sense on the surface in terms of purely roles, because the issue with Reciprocity, we've said it the entire year, is that they have basically all assault rifles and Zed at the start of the year. Now they've got Dylan and Zed, you know, eating people alive on the front lines, and then the rest of their guys are just not quick enough. Now, Alex was an SMG last year on Unilad, has played before with Wuskin, especially, I think Wuskin and Zed, yeah, on that Unilad team, and Shawnee I think he was with, yeah, that was the squad, right? So, he's played with some of these guys before. Last year, he was like a really quick SMG. He's going to probably be using the Maddox on this team from what I can establish, which makes a lot of sense. And it also means that he should be an aggressive partner to those other guys on his team, we would hope. So, yeah, that seems to be the change. One thing also is because Shawnee is going to be the substitute now, that means that Tommy is going to be focusing on streaming content. So effectively, he's moving to a streamer under Reciprocity, and he might be playing in the open bracket at Miami, but we'll go on to that in just a second here. So, moving onwards, Luminosity, just to make this clear, because this is the whole roundup video. This was announced a couple of days ago, but I thought I'd reiterate it once more. So, formal Brack Skies, John slacked, and Ricky as coach. So, Brack and Skies coming into the team is what's happened there. UYU announced their team as well. A very interesting change. Pretty much overhauled their entire roster. Method stays, joined by Phantoms on the ICR. So these two will be like your slower ARs, but Methods will be on the Maddox for sure. Then we've got Blazed, why did I say it like that? Saints and Classic. So I'm guessing maybe Blazed will be on the second Maddox here, and then Classic and Saints on the SMGs, which is probably the way to go. Of course, right now we don't really have a 2 SMG meta anyway, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I'll probably talk about this roster more in coming days, because it's a very interesting one in my opinion, and well, we'll just have to see how well they do, because apparently they've been doing pretty damn well in scrims from what I've heard. So just to clear this up as well, Achura they brought in as coach a couple of days ago. I already mentioned that, but just to mention that change, that means that Vandy, their previous coach, is now a former coach, so I don't exactly know what he's going to be doing, but you know, just to make that clear that they have changed around the coach for this team, which is another interesting change. Mayhem says right here, as a result of this, big thank you to UAE for treating me well. I had an offer from E6. They were very kind through this roster change period. This is UIU, allowing me to take this opportunity. Now, guess what? Enigma 6 pick up Mayhem. This team is very interesting. They get rid of ZooMaa, they get rid of Frosty, they bring in Mayhem for Frosty, and Breezy for ZooMaa. Now, very, very interesting to me. On paper, this team is kind of good. They have a lot of good pieces here. But in a similar way to how UIU has been forming their teams, I don't know how much consideration has really gone to chemistry. Maybe some of these guys have played with each other before, possibly Mayhem with a couple of the other guys. I'll have to look into that in more detail. But, like, it's still very interesting. Mayhem's been pretty good this season. Breezy has been really a revelation as of late on Elevate. Very interesting. One thing I feel really bad for is ZooMaa, because out of all the entry SMGs in the game right now, he's got to be up there. And I feel bad that he wasn't picked up on Envy, to be honest, because they really seem to need an SMG for my money. And the fact that they've got Assault, really, instead of getting, you know, an entry SMG like ZooMaa, because ZooMaa's been pretty damn good, and he was good at Anaheim on this team. Now, obviously, it's understandable if you want to make a change, because Champs is round the corner. If you don't think you can win Champs with that roster, then I guess it's time to make a change. But at the same time, I do feel bad for ZooMaa and Parzelion. They're not going to be in the league anymore off UYU and Enigma 6. They're going to have to be working through Open. But, you know, a lot of these changes I think are made in terms of, like, on name basis. Not necessarily this one, but the fact that ZooMaa hasn't got an opportunity elsewhere. And there's really not too many good entry SMGs in the game right now. It's a very difficult role. So I feel bad for him. Moving onwards then, we have Midnight. They announced Frosty is going to be into their team. Obviously also a very interesting decision to drop Frosty, because he seems to be pretty good, probably getting better throughout the season. He does play slow, which maybe was their issue to some degree. And yeah, Midnight are going to get Royalty, Zap and Frosties. They've got some real pace on their team and Frosty. So an interesting change. They're still going to have Llama God and Parasite on their team. An interesting change, probably a lateral move from what I can guess. Maybe their ceiling is slightly lower now, to be honest. Now, Rated announces the following. This was rumoured. When I heard this rumour, I was like, what is going on? Reedy said on the Spitfire last night that Rated's just like given up, basically. He'll just take whoever he can. And, you know, this kind of makes sense as a move to me. Bance, I think, is going to move towards just retirement, at least for the rest of the season. His stock obviously is not high right now, and it's just disappointing how it's worked out. But yeah, Rated and Joe staying together, going to bring in Nolson, who was just on Splyce, and Weeman and Cammy, who are on Team War in the open bracket. Cammy has really been touted as one of the hottest prospects out of Europe, so him and Joe will be interesting on the SMGs. Probably Weeman and Nolson on the Maddoxes, which is going to be fun to watch. And I guess these guys will be very interested to, you know, listen and learn from Rated and Joe, more experienced players. And maybe that'll work out kind of nicely. Rated will have control of the team, and maybe it'll be a much better team dynamic, which may be what these guys need. So it's interesting. I hardly think they're going to be one of the best teams in the game, but it's a very interesting change. And I'm happy for Weeman and Cammy for sure that they have got this opportunity in the Pro League, and Nolson as well. But they may not be making anywhere near as much money in the Pro League as they would have if they were just in the amateur bracket. But I guess if you are in the Pro League, then at least you have a chance to get your name out to franchising organisations next year. So, moving on quickly here, we have this from Heretics. They announced Vortex comes in. Heard a few things here that because Giants didn't want to get rid of Yaka, or they were asking like 40,000 euros or big money, they had to get Vortex in instead of Sucri. So I hardly really think this is an upgrade. You know, you Spanish guys, you love commenting. If you're watching this, be interested to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. So these are all the teams that have changed. The other teams, supposedly EG is minus Phantoms plus Accuracy, and Elevate is going to be minus Breezy minus Skies plus Lacefield and plus Believe, apparently. Reuniting, I think, with Profizi, which I think you may have played with before. So let's have a look at some other players here and how they're going to be dealing with the next couple of months. Tommy may well be interested in running up the amateur bracket. This was Shawnee's statement. I've been moved to the sub bench for Alex. No hard feelings with the team or Alex. Still good friends with them all. This is what the team thinks will make them more of a championship contending team. So I wish them the best. Of course, the real interesting part about this change is whether Shawnee was the right man to switch out. I think the decision makes sense. But whether Shawnee or Dens were the right man to switch out, or even Waskin, it's somewhat difficult to say. I'll talk about that more in coming days, I'm sure. So yes, this was his statement. Then we have the following from Parasite saying Exceed, who was on Spacely's team in the open bracket, is actually going to be the substitute for Midnight. So that's an interesting situation. Kind of a funny tweet here from Parasite. So just thought I'd bring that out there to you guys. And here we go. ZooMaa says that him and Cellium will be a team of two for Miami and Champs. If CoD is not your first priority, don't bother to hit us up. Only upwards from here, and we're ending the year on a good note. I do really feel bad for these guys, especially ZooMaa. I thought he played really, really well as of late, and there is a need for these kind of aggressive SMGs. So, yeah, difficult situation. Bant says the following, but he doesn't say anything about where he's going to be ending up, so I can't really comment much more on that. Then we have the following from Glow Frosty, who was on Sage, I believe. I'm not sure whether he got dropped or whether he decided to leave or whatever the situation was. But yeah, Sage didn't have the best run at, I think they came top 12 or something, top 16 or something at Anaheim, so it wasn't the best for them. So that's pretty much it. This is a list right now of the full rosters. I'll leave this linked down below if you guys want to check it out on Gamepedia. These are the ones that have been announced as of recording. So as I say, Elevate, actually Risk may be in the team. I don't know what's going on with Risk, but the rumour is Lacefield and Believe over here. Now, of course, these changes will have already been set in stone. They just haven't been announced as of recording. And then, yes, supposedly Evil Geniuses is going to have Accuracy in the team as well. But all the other teams are either staying the same in Gen.G. Now, it's possible that Gen.G and eUnited made a change and we just don't know about it yet. Same with Evil Geniuses. But from what we heard, that's very unlikely. So yes, pretty much all the teams have made a change in the league apart from only 5, which is crazy. But yes, LG have made a change, Splyce have won a change. My initial thoughts on who's won Rostermania, probably Splyce. I will probably do a video on this more in depth down the line, and probably a video on who exactly of these teams can beat 100 Thieves and what it might take to do that right now. I feel like Envy have they must have lost out on paper. Yes, they have Gunless, which is a big deal. But the fact that their team seems so slow, and they also lost Huke, is, in my opinion, questionable. And, well, the other teams probably a lot of lateral moves going on. That's my perspective, but at least switching things up if the team vibes haven't gone so well. So yes, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you are new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and enjoy the outro clip if there is one. I will see you next time.
You're probably baiting Kyler.
You wanna keep playing though?
Yeah, I'm baiting Kyler. Yo, bro, Brandon, you bait the fuck out of your team, bro. Yes, run it up. Are you streaming?
Yeah.
I don't want to like roast you in front of your crowd, but good lordy, brother. No wonder Seth has a 0.5.
Serious fucking laugh right there.
So
yo, Seth,
making a
get
bullshit?
your ass in the front, baby. Your ass is getting turned on.
I'm not taking this slander, bro.
Yo, you gotta bait for him at least once. You're killing this man's confidence, brother.
You're not even laugh, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, bro. Like, give this guy an entry. Good lordy.
I'll get a few entries.
Bro, you're fucking.
Nigga, Brandon, do you understand you average a 1.4 for this whole year? I know you're not that good. I play against you, brother.